Let's say you're in the markets for a brand new off-road vehicle and you want something that's slightly smaller than the average pickup truck, but you're also tired of the only option being the Jeep Wrangler. So you stroll into a Ford dealer and decide you want to buy a Ford Bronco. But is it worth waiting 2 years to get your hands on a set of keys? And is it worth having to fight through all the dealership markups? Today we're going to find out. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the 6th generation Ford Bronco. It took a cumbersome 25-year slumber before it was uncovered from its tomb and revived to wildly buck around the sand dunes once more. However, unlike episodes 8 and 9 of Star Wars, the Bronco's return is not a disappointment. Like its nemesis, the steadfast Jeep Wrangler, the Ford Bronco's roots actually lie with the American military back in the 1940s in the form of what was most commonly known as the Jeep. The Willys Jeep was known as the Willys MB, while the Ford was known as the Ford GPW. The GPW was later replaced with the Ford Mutt, short for Military Utility Tactical Truck, and Ford noticed a trend of both the GPWs and Mutts being bought and used for more casual and recreational purposes. So the gearheads at Ford got to work molding the Mutt into a more civilian-friendly, yet rugged, capable off-road vehicle, and perhaps taking inspiration from its iconic no-rules-loving stablemate, the Ford Mustang, the new truck was dubbed the Bronco. The 6th gen Bronco harkens back to the original 1st gen concept styling of the 1960s, which at the time was penned up by McKinley Thompson Jr. And it's a good thing that Ford took the hint, because the Gen 6 Bronco is quite the attractive looking off-roader. This here is the Sasquatch, and with its capable Bilstein dampers and 35-inch off-road tires, it'll saunter through anything and anyone with ease, which means that the Bronco Sasquatch is just as capable off-road as it is at creating new isekai protagonists. The Bronco is available in both 2- and 4-door setups, as well as being able to be optioned with your choice of 2 EcoBoost engines. You can choose between a 2.3-liter turbocharged inline-4, capable of producing 300 horsepower and 325 foot-pounds of torque, or you can spec it up to a 2.7-liter twin-turbocharged V6, producing 330 horsepower and 415 foot-pounds of torque. Both are equipped with 10-speed automatic transmissions. However, the 4-cylinder option is available with a proper manual transmission for absolute purists. If you so choose, the roof and the doors can be removed with a bit of work, although here in Michigan I imagine that you'll be keeping those on, considering that Michigan's weather is about as unpredictable as the average 9-to-5 work schedule. With the many options available, it means that for the most part, no 2 Broncos will be built to the exact same spec, and the options allow for buyers to pick and choose what best suits their needs. But is it worth waiting for 2 years after your order has already been placed? Let's hear from the man himself, who unfortunately had to deal with this situation. This, ladies and gentlemen, is my good friend Dan. He's been on the channel multiple times before. I can link those videos below. Dan, how are you doing?
Doing fantastic. How about you, Manuel?
I'm doing all right. I could do without these 6-day work weeks, though. But
I feel.
So this brand new Ford Bronco, the first question that I'm going to ask you is, how long did you wait after you put your order in?
So I was a day one reservation holder back in either July or August of 2020.
Okay.
And I didn't go into the dealership until January of 2021. And my original order was for a Bronco Big Bend, one of the other trim packages.
Okay.
But the dealer told me that with the high number of orders, my model was most likely going to be pushed back to 2022, which means that I couldn't get the color I wanted, and I'd also have to wait another year.
That's crazy.
So I decided to opt out, so when they told me that my order was going to be pushed back to 2022, I just decided to wait. At that time, there was a Change.org petition to have the manual transmission with the Sasquatch package.
Okay.
So I felt like that was actually worth the wait.
Okay.
And here we are today. I ended up placing a second order after the January 2021 order.
Okay.
And this was in October of 2021. That's when I finally placed my order for this. Hot pepper red, 2-door, base, manual Sasquatch.
Okay. Yeah, no, I have to say, like, this is really cool. I'm not going to lie. But another question I have is, like, you know, when you're going through that process, did you have to deal with, like, any dealer markups or anything, or?
No, so Ford made it explicitly clear that day one reservation holders were not to be messed with.
Okay.
Because there were 200,000 of them, and they were all waiting to get their cars. You know, they were waiting 2 years, and Ford sent out an email saying it was either an email or a Q&A, something along those lines. But I didn't have to deal with any sort of dealership markups, and I got this thing for MSRP.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah. Actually, because my original order was a 2021, I had a little bit of price protection, so it's below the 2022 MSRP. Okay. But not by a whole lot, but
yeah. Nice. Now, another question I have is what made you decide to get, like, the Ford Bronco? Because, for example, if I recall, you had to trade in, or you ended up selling the Focus ST, and then now this is, like, your daily driver, right?
Yeah. So I just decided, the Focus, it was a fun little thing. But even with a set of winter tires, good set of winter tires, it just wasn't good in the snow.
And I was just Michigan weather.
Exactly. So I decided, I don't want another Econobox, front wheel drive, a little thing. I didn't want a Subaru because those things, they look ugly now. So I decided when Ford launched their Bronco and they said it was going to be available with a stick, I was like, sign me up.
Yeah, that's a fair deal. Like, driving a truck like this and stick, definitely a lot of fun. And speaking of that, like, what do you like most about the truck? What does it do for you?
Honestly, it's a whole different seating position going from either my Mazda Miata, my 1999, or my 2018 Focus ST. Both those cars, you're sitting really low on the ground. This, you're sitting really high up. This is more of a utilitarian. I can go wherever I want.
Okay.
Whereas my Miata and my Focus were more, I could take it on some nice roads. Okay. And that's about it. But one thing I will say about going to a truck with 35-inch tires is that I never, ever have to worry about these Michigan potholes ever again.
Amen to that. Sounds good. Let's get to driving. So before it was my turn to get behind the wheel, I decided to get some rolling shots. So I told Dan to hop back into the driver's seat and to have a little bit of fun with it. I'll admit, I'm not a truck guy, so I think that I can provide a non-biased opinion when I say that this is a tastefully designed vehicle. Let me put it this way. If I was an anime protagonist, blood would be spurting from my nostrils right about now. The Bronco has a menacing road presence, one that demands the attention of every other driver within its vicinity. When you lay your eyes on one of these, you can tell it was designed with passion and excitement. Its obnoxious fender flares pair well with the high ground mentality of the off-road tires and suspension. The 86.6-inch overall width and 78.9-inch height create a staunched, boxy stance that screams, "I belong in the wilderness." And with the 11.5-inch ground clearance, you'll find yourself wandering off the asphalt so quickly that you'll have forgotten that civilization actually exists. It's honestly a much-needed breath of fresh air, a shining pearl in a never-ending sea of dull and uninspired crossovers. The best analogy I'll make is this. The Bronco is what happens when an automobile is designed with purpose by enthusiasts, while its stablemate, the Mach-E, is what happens when an automobile is designed without intent by suits and ties. As gorgeous as the styling is, Dan and I were met with an unfortunate truth. You see, it turns out that a small 4-cylinder engine paired with a roughly 5,000-pound truck with the aerodynamic properties of my old Nintendo GameCube makes for terrible fuel economy. According to Ford, the Sasquatch averages a combined MPG under 20. Specifically, the 4-cylinder has a claimed combined MPG of 18, while the 6-cylinder has a claimed combined MPG of 17. Now, that's not the end of the world, but it's not great, and it should be addressed considering how expensive gas prices are at the moment. So, now that we've addressed the fuel with Dan's terrible yet somehow Oscar-worthy performance, it was time for me to get behind the wheel. Is it going? It is, so it works.
Easy.
Easy.
All right, turn this thing on. We need to get some AC going.
Yeah.
Either that or we need to start moving.
Yeah.
It's too humid.
I'm keeping this in since it's recording. You know that? Alright, let me make sure I'm actually in neutral because I actually stalled it while trying to get some of those standing shots.
You want to
because the gear shift's up here, it looks like it's in neutral, but it's not. Alright. Alright, behind the wheel, the Ford Bronco Sasquatch. You know what, Dan? What's your favorite part about driving this vehicle?
Honestly, just the confidence of being able to go anywhere and everywhere.
That's fair.
Like I said before, being able to go over all these Michigan potholes without a worry, oh man.
Now it is
There's no better feeling.
It is a little bit awkward getting used to the clutch because I'm used to driving some smaller sports cars, okay? This clutch, you don't engage until you're almost at the very top of the pedal. Now, the Bronco does have multiple driving modes right now. Because we're on a straight, I just have it in sport mode. But if I turn this dial down here, I can switch to normal. I've got eco, and I've got sport. So right now, we're going to enjoy sport mode from the 2.3 liter EcoBoost. Same engine, basically, you'd find in like the EcoBoost Mustang.
Also worth noting, there's a slippery mode and a sand mode as well.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on what Bronco trim you get, you also get different drive modes. Like there's a rock crawl, there's a Baja, and there's a mud and ruts.
All right.
But since this is a base model, I don't get that many.
I'm gonna turn around, but it's driving around a big truck, okay? And I know some of you are gonna be like, it's not that big. It's just, I'm so high up, I'm on a proper body-on-frame chassis. That's the only way you can do a truck, okay? And I'm driving around with the stick shift here. It's not as bad as this old Jeep Liberty that I was driving. And that gear shift, it was flopping about all over the place.
It's almost like Zach's old WRX.
Yeah, it was kind of like Zach's old WRX. The WRX, fun car to drive, but that shifter, that was a meme.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna pull out. I'm gonna give it some gas here.
Oh my lord. Oh shit.
Of course, I'm not the fastest vehicle on the road, but this car is just so much fun to rip around. Although you're all about to roast me for saying car, but I don't care. Like,
it's alright, Kyle roasted me for calling this a truck.
Like the Chevy Trax, nah, it's over Trax, I have the high ground. It's interesting because the gear shifts are actually quite snappy, which isn't something that I expect in trucks like this. You expect it to be a bit more loose. And then again with that clutch, how it just kind of grabs on, but it's at like the very top. Now, Ford tells you that this is a 7-speed, but I'm going to tell you that that's actually full of lies. And that's because your first gear is actually a crawl gear, and then you have a 1 through 6. So in reality, it's a 6-speed with a crawl gear, not a true 7-speed like, say, a C7 Corvette.
Man, well, you're telling me
some of the 911s.
You're telling me I don't have a dog leg?
Yeah, you have a crawl dog leg. All the torque, but none of the speed. You do get a little bit of vibration. We're going about 60 miles trips me up, especially because it's a stick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, the way that they integrated it is honestly, it's really nice. You know, you're at a stoplight, put the car in neutral, clutch all the way out, engine stops, and then when you're ready to go, as soon as you push the clutch in, engine restarts, you don't even know it's off.
If you do want the stick shift version of the Bronco, you do have to remember that it's only available with the 2.3 liter turbocharged 4 EcoBoost. If you go with the twin turbo V6 EcoBoost, then you are only able to get the 10-speed automatic. So you have to decide if more power is what you want, or if you want more kind of like, if you want it to be more intuitive as a driver. What do you want, more power or more involvement? I think that kind of depends on what you really want to use the truck for. Now, do you actually plan on like taking this off-road? I know you were saying something earlier about like a camping trip or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm taking this up north to Munising, up in Pictured Rocks and the Upper Peninsula.
Okay.
It's gonna be tricky since I have the 2-door. I don't have the biggest trunk, but I measured it, and with the seats push all the way forward from the lever back here, and if you take these seats out from the back of the trunk to basically the tip, or not the tip, but the back of the seats is 6 feet. Okay. So it should be plenty comfortable to sleep in. In terms of fitting anything else in here, though, after that, I don't think so.
That's fair. Stop's good. No problems there, but that's to be expected from a modern car. At least I would hope so.
Tesla Model Plaid wants to know your location.
Alright. Just a hint of turbo lag, and then you're in the rev.
Now it is worth noting.
And now
if
we're
you saw
60.
Now it is worth noting, if you saw the gas clip earlier, I did put regular in the car. Now you do suffer a little bit of performance loss if you put regular in. I believe it's I don't know. You could probably edit in the actual numbers, but I think it's somewhere around. Yeah, I think it's somewhere around 270 horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque, or 315 on regular gas. But if you choose to put premium in it, you can get up to 300 horsepower.
Okay.
But I mean, with gas prices the way they are, I'll just put regular in.
Yeah, unlike the 11.5 to 1 compression ratio in my Celica, so I put premium. Yeah, $65 to fill up a Toyota Celica. That's the world we live in, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, geez, it's not much worse than filling up my car. Surprised you weren't in tears.
Now, the Bronco does have a really cool feature. When you're twisting this knob here, you can switch between all-wheel and two-wheel drive on the fly, unless you're actually trying to put it in the four-wheel. Is that correct?
You can put it, you can go between 2 high, 4 auto, and 4 high while you're driving. But 4 low, you have to be stopped in neutral for the transfer case to do its thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a part of Ford's advanced transfer case. If you get just a base Bronco, or I think just the Big Bend, basically anything that doesn't have the 4 automatic feature. Okay. I don't believe you can change on the fly while you're driving.
Okay, my mistake. Now y'all can roast me in the comments. You got him, boys. You got him.
Now, one other thing I want to mention, I know you haven't put it on cruise control, but this is the first car I've driven where if you put cruise control on and you shift gears either up or down, it'll maintain cruise control.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you don't need to hit cancel, resume, cancel, resume. So if you do, just push that. So see how it's green? All right, shift into a gear.
All right. Interesting.
It maintains. Yeah. Maintains.
Now I'm gonna turn it off. After driving around, here's how I'll sum up my thoughts. The Bronco is a blast to drive around in, although its full potential will only ever be utilized off the pavement. This vehicle belongs off-road, that's its true calling. However, on-road, it drove much better than I expected. The shocks and tires absorbed much of the splintered and cracked remains of Michigan's roads, although I still wouldn't make a habit out of intentionally diving for potholes. The Bronco does buck around a bit in between gear shifts with the manual, and I imagine someone that easily gets motion sick would not be able to ride very long. That being said, this isn't the last time you'll be seeing the Bronco. After all, it is Michigan and it is inevitable that we'll be seeing snow in about 1 to 2 months. So, you've decided you want one. Would I recommend it? Well, there are a few issues. The main issue is that dealers are marking these up to the point that they are very hard to come by at a fair price for the working man. I mean, look at these prices. This is absolutely unacceptable, and I imagine that the person who came up with this price probably looks like this. You could follow Dan's footsteps and go directly through Ford with a custom order. This is how he avoided the markups, however, don't expect it to be completed anytime soon. As a matter of fact, Ford tells you themselves to expect delays. The other issue is that there have been a few recalls, one involving the chance of the windshield separating from the vehicle in a crash, and the other involving engine failure on the V6 models. So before you buy, you may want to ensure that these issues on the vehicles that you are interested in have already been addressed. While I adore the Bronco, these issues make it difficult for me to outright recommend. However, I'd keep a watchful eye on this vehicle. It's been too long since the Wrangler had some proper competition, and if you come across a fairly priced Bronco that has had its recall issues addressed, then perhaps it wouldn't hurt. Yo, what's going on? I hope you all enjoyed this video. As per usual, if you liked the video, leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you didn't like the video, then thank you for taking the time to watch. Leave a dislike, tell me what you didn't like about that. Yeah. In the meantime, I'm going to this sketch I'm working on over here. And I'll leave y'all with a preview of the next car that's going to be featured. Y'all take it easy.
Come meet me in the crowd. Everything is so loud. Your mind is running wild, but we'll do it my way. Love is a feeling, and you can quench this fire. No. So give me when I want it, baby, 'cause I got what you need. Just give it to me, give it to me, oh, give it to me.
You wanna know what?
Alright, there we go. Advanced track off for 4 low. Alright, great.
You wanna know what? Thank you for letting me film your vehicle.
No problem.
You know what, Gray Man? Get out of here.
Alright. Until next time. Just a little slow.